Welcome back to Thai Learning Lifestyle. Thank you again for joining me on another beautiful day here in the sunny South Florida area. Today's topic is going to be another resource discussion, talking about, what is the resource, how did I use it, my thoughts about it, and how does it relate to all the other resources on the market that's available for Thai learners like myself and for like you. So if you're anything like me, you probably did a lot of research about a lot of, resources to learn a language, and stuff has drastically changed from when I first started learning, languages at a time back, was it 2010, 2012, 2015, that time frame. It was a lot more textbook focus. And what I stumbled upon was this entire realm of language learners that I've never heard before. And this is going to be I don't want to call it a cult, but a very strong following for comprehensible input. So I came across a video with a YouTuber that actually teaches Thai to foreigners. Her name is Banana Thai. And she had this guy named Pablo on her show, and they were speaking in Thai, and I was just so amazed by his ability to speak Thai. And then I found out that he could speak, English, he could speak Spanish, and he speaks Japanese. And I was like very, very intrigued by this Pablo guy. Turns out he has an entire YouTube series called Dreamin' in Spanish. And once I opened that rabbit hole there, it was so much information about this concept of, just taking a lot of input gradually over time and tracking your hours and seeing all these people's feedback. And then I found out that he actually learned Thai, was able to speak well in Thai following the method that I just brought up. So it made me very intrigued about the method, and I wanted to integrate it immediately into my own learning. So at one point I was like, I'm just going to stick with my Astimil book, finish, the Becker series, and focus on writing and reading, like I brought up in my previous video, because I felt like, reading and writing is something I can, catch on later over time. And I would still benefit a lot from the sound, but I know a lot of people in the comments, this might be controversial, believe that reading and writing is something that you should do immediately. But for a language like this that I didn't really have much exposure of, it's a tonal language, drastically different. I already knew, if you watch my previous videos, that I wanted to spend a lot more time listening and practicing the sounds and getting to know how everything kind of flows together. So once I discovered this, it was just a match in heaven. So what I did, I quickly integrated the Comprehensible Thai YouTube channel in my language learning journey here, where I was completing at least 2 videos a day. And what I did, I finished the B0 series. That is the absolute beginner series in their channel, what they recommend starting at first. And we're gonna talk about if that was necessary or not, because you may be surprised. Spoiler alert, I love the series, but I have different opinions once I got to B1. And we're gonna get into that towards the end of the video, of my final thoughts of how everything ties together. So again, going back to Banana Thai, I was watching this Pablo guy who has his own Dreamin' Spanish YouTube channel, and his language program, and the way they learn things is through these videos that gradually introduce you to the language and the flow. And to me, it was amazing, because I really enjoy books like Astimil, where you have tons of dialogues and audio. And this was absolute free. So people who are looking to learn a language on a budget, and you're like, hey, I don't have that much money. I actually saw a Reddit post where somebody's like, I only have $500 to spend to learn a language, what should I buy? And I was like, that's a lot of money to learn a language when, maybe $100, $200 will buy you most of the things that most entry-level books will get you to get to the intermediate level. I digress. This entire YouTube channel is completely free, but they do ask people who appreciate the channel and can to make donations to help the channel and provide, financial support for the teachers. If you can, I would highly recommend it, because the product you get from the actual channel is absolutely amazing. Going back to the series, so B0 actually has a total of 40 videos that go for absolute beginners of Thai. Now, just a background where I was when I started the series B0, I already went through and studied, not mastered everything, but studied the Thai Becker book, the Beginner's Thai book, and I was up to lesson 70 of the Asmiel book. So at that point, I already had a lot of exposure to the language, grammatical parts. So just for a brief background, I probably knew already probably over 1,000 words in the Thai language, but I didn't have this input system yet. So take that with a grain of salt. I did not start this series from an absolute beginner. So if you're starting from an absolute beginner, I don't know 100% how it may feel like starting the series. Now, some of the pros of the series is that each lesson is about 30 minutes and there's 40 of them. So you get over 20 hours of natural, not completely natural, but a slow discussion in the native language with no real English or other breaks in between. So if you compare that to like your Teach Yourself book, you may only really get like 45 minutes to an hour of actual Thai audio. If you compare that to an Asmiel book where you have, right around 3 hours and something of audio, this just blows it out of the water with the amount of Thai input you can actually get from this series. And again, it's absolutely free. So that's another major plus for the series. Absolutely free, tons of audio. Number 2 pro for this series is that it's going to gradually introduce you to many words right off the bat. You're going to learn quite a few words in the series that get you up and running, but the words you do learn are going to be very relatable. There's going to be things that are usually kind of right in front of you, and you'll be able to know those words very well. So they do a lot of work with numbers, especially the numbers 1 through 10, the months, the days. They do that on every single episode. And to be honest, one thing I hate about language learning is learning the days of the week and sometimes numbers and doing all this little minute stuff. I rather learn the word for interesting or dog or scary, but some words just don't excite me, like Wednesday, Tuesday. For some odd reason, I never get excited about learning the word for Wednesday. It's always one of those words I don't really care about, but they introduce it every single episode. It's going to be an introduction with numbers and dates and months. The word for November is quite long, and they make it a little bit more entertaining for you. Another pro for this series is that the series is only 2 speakers, but they have a lot of conversations back and forth, and you really get used to the way they'll naturally kind of speak to one another, and they're not introducing just people randomly coming and going, because if you ever spent time learning different accents or the way people speak, they'll get you accustomed of how a person or two will speak. So it becomes easier to learn how they're speaking, what they're saying, and it's really nice for language learners to have a more consistent theme along the way. Another pro is that the videos aren't just random discussions, they are focused around a topic. And that's why a lot of people will say if you already watched a movie in your native language, it's better when you learn it in your target language to rewatch that movie, because you already know the topic. But these videos, you already know the topic as well. Another pro, I did find the 2 people in the series to be highly engaging, fun to watch, and overall I enjoyed the experience of the B0 series. That was recommended to start first if you're going to start this comprehensible input series. Now let's talk about some things I didn't like about this series. So the very first thing I didn't like too much about the series was the amount of time they spent on vegetables. And it's not just vegetables, it's mainly targeted towards Thai vegetables that if you're coming from another country, you may not be aware of. This might be very helpful for people who are living there who absolutely love vegetables. I love, fresh fruits and vegetables, but if I don't even know the word in my own country, I don't eat a lot of the vegetables that they've shown. I know, if when we went to fruit, like a coconut, a mango, pineapple, banana, but when you're getting to random vegetables that are so far out there that the main, probably target audience for this series is not eating, because these are very, very local city vegetables in Thailand, it gets kind of, why am I learning this feeling? And it would have been okay if it was just one video of this, but they decided to make 3 30-minute videos about Thai vegetables, and that's an hour and a half of learning about unique vegetables to Thailand that you have no emotional connection or taste with or anything. And I felt like that was a little bit overdone. Another topic that kind of felt out of place was the one about internal organs on a absolute beginner channel. I feel like they should have focused a little bit more things that are a little bit more practical that people use for discussion. They did talking about, my name, where I'm from, but there's got to be something else rather than talking about ovaries. They talked about lungs, heart, brain, and it's just stuff that was a little bit out there. Start talking about the anatomy of people, and was a few videos in this series, so people are recommended to write down what percentage of the video did they understand. And there's some videos where people were talking, they only understood about 50 to 60% of the videos. And again, for an absolute beginner, some of these videos were actually pretty tough. And remember, I already knew, quite a few words and grammar points, but some were just so far out there that it wasn't necessary to be in a total beginner's video series where it could be a little bit more practical for an absolute beginner. Now overall, there's not that many things wrong with this series. Another thing could have been that it was a little bit too long for an absolute beginner. Maybe 15 to 20 minutes per video might have been better for an absolute beginner, so they don't get overwhelmed with everything being new for a half an hour each video. Now they do recommend that you work your way up to watching about 3 hours a day. I never did that for everyday videos. If I had a lot of free time, maybe, but there's no way I'm gonna be watching these for 3 hours and pay absolute 100% attention to everything. There's just no way I could have done that. Overall, I thought the series was very helpful for the audio. I did see a increase in my comprehension of natural spoken Thai around me. So when I was able to go to functions that had Thai people there, the words, the common phrases, how they transition from one idea to the next, became a little bit easier. And I was very grateful for the series. While the series was a little bit long, the amount of words they teach you overall is not that much. I felt like with 20 hours of material, you could have learned a lot more words from a everyday textbook, but you may not have been able to use it as effectively, those words, as you would in this series, because you had so much repetition of the actual words themselves. Their words are a little bit more usable, but you did learn a lot less of the words. Finishing the B0, again, I already had experience with the Thai grammar, so I can't honestly talk about how it would be if you're an absolute beginner, but reflecting back on it, I don't know if I would have picked up 100% of the grammatical reasonings behind everything if I was an absolute beginner of the actual language itself. And where does this relate to everything else overall? So this is another thing. I came out of the series absolutely really enjoying it. I thought it was amazing. I thought they did a lot of good work. The teachers were great. But then I started the B1 series. And after I finished B0, I immediately went to B1. The videos were shorter. They're about 20 minutes each video. To keep things kind of consistent for an hour to this channel, I'm doing 3 videos a day, and as of right now, I'm on episode, I believe, 12. And what I want to say already is that I feel like the series, while it started off very nice for B0, I felt like it could have been much shorter for absolute beginner and a little bit more focus on things that were, critical. I felt like the amount of materials we've already covered in B1, that if you are a person who's already finished the Thai Becker book, or if you have, studied the Thai language for a period of time, it might just benefit you to skip the B0 video series. And I say this because I'm reflecting back. I spent 20 hours going over this, and I did enjoy it. But as of right now, even though I'm on episode 12 of the B1, that's the level that goes right after B0, I feel that the B1 series is a little bit more engaging, even though the videos are older. The material that you cover on the first episodes of B1 are very similar to what you will cover in B0. At the level I was at, I feel like I could have just went straight into B1, but I didn't want to miss out on anything critical on B0. And this is why I want to bring up, if you're on the edge, like, what level should I start? Should I start absolutely from 0 on the channel where it recommends B0? Or should I start on a higher level? If you're at the point where you finish, any type of a beginner Thai book, you're not really going to learn out there that's going to open up your eyes to comprehension or usage of the Thai language. I personally feel that if you were already studying the Thai language, you could just probably start at B1 as of right now. Again, I'm going to finish the B1 series, reflect back how I see it in the overall scheme of learning the Thai language, and see if I gain a lot more understanding and reflection of the Thai language itself. Again, I've already spent, so at this point, probably around 25 hours of this system, this way of learning the language. And I'll continue, and I will finish the B1 series as well and reflect back on how do I feel about the series, how do I feel about the program, do I feel like it's benefited me? Because I strongly believe that at this point, I could have just started on the B1 and I would have been completely fine with the knowledge I already knew. But it did get me a good understanding of the series. It gave me a lot of listen and practice. But again, I could have spent that 20 hours focusing just on the Asmil book and getting, further, can be completely done with the Asmil book. Possibly could have been done. Right now, after lesson 70, things drastically get harder in the Asmil book. I feel like the Asmil book will bring you a lot more vocabulary for the same amount of time. It'll introduce a lot of new concepts to you, and it'll explain things so you just understand what you're trying to learn to start with. And this is the problem with the Comprehensible Input series as of right now. Again, this is only a reflection of the B0, but if you're starting off learning the Thai language and you have absolutely no experience with it, at this point, unless I find something mind-blowing from, B1, B2, B3, up to the intermediate stage, I'll let you know. But as of right now, if you were just starting off from the exact beginner stage, I still feel that you would benefit a lot from having some type of grammatical, structural course rather than just, just this one series alone. Again, I'm already, kind of a maverick for some language learners by not learning the Thai script or, learn to read and write. They don't even recommend reading and write until you're like an advanced level in the Thai language. And they don't want you, if you follow the series 100%, to even practice this until the very end, after you mastered really the oral comprehension of the Thai language itself. And again, people thought I was crazy, but this is beyond wild for me. and I want to know what's your opinions if you tried the Comprehensible Input Thai YouTube channel, if you finished the B0 series. I want to know what's your opinion of the series. Did you enjoy it? What did you like about it? What you didn't like about it? Has it benefited you? Just to summarize my opinion on it, I feel like it was very beneficial for hours of input. Again, you could have got input from different sources, but this is kind of like a graded reader, but it's a graded input, comprehension system. My biggest argument is that for somebody who discovered it later after starting the Thai language journey already, the B0 series could be skipped because I feel like most topics are covered in B1. They posted B1 before they posted this B0. The goal of B0 was to have, an easier introduction to the Thai language. I feel like the videos were a little bit too long. Some topics were just a little bit too out there for an absolute beginner. Even for somebody who studied already the language, it was kind of hard to understand certain parts. I mean, basic textbooks aren't talking about, acid reflux disease and, problems with your uterus. And those episodes, yes, they were fun, but not a place for an absolute beginner. And I feel like I could have just went to B1. And this is the point of my video, is that, hey, if you're on the edge of where you should start in this series, you might just start with B1. If you're an absolute beginner or you just want the hours of input, B0 is not going to hurt you. It's going to be something that you can have a lot more hearing of the Thai language from native speakers. And the plus of it is it's absolutely free. Now, again, I see a lot of YouTube videos about people who finish Dreaming Spanish, over 1,000 hours, 1,500 hours of finishing Dreaming Spanish. And as I finish this YouTube Thai learning series, I would love to post my updates about my own experience with the series and how I feel like it fits in my overall Thai learning journey myself. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, any feedback, leave them in the comment section below. If you have any video ideas, leave them below as well. I'd love to hear what you want to talk about on this channel. And other than that, take care.